Dr. Umesh, and he is.
Yeah, I too.
Umesh is from Shankara Eye Hospital, Bangalore, and he completed his MBBS from Mysore and did DNB DO from Minto, Bangalore, and then DMB from Shankara, Coimbatore, and he has undergone extensive training in Shankara Eye Center, Coimbatore, and cataract and refractive surgery, and also from Germany. He is currently the Chief Medical Officer of Shankara Eye Hospital, Bangalore, and a member of the governing body, Medical Administration, Shankara Eye Foundation, India. He has huge experience in a large number of surgeries, and he does a lot of phaco training programs, and he has trained at least 100 fellows in short-term phaco training, and he will be speaking to us on cataract surgery mistakes, basically the crowded anterior chamber. Over to you, Umesh.
Thank you, Dr. Srini, for the wonderful introduction, and thanks once again for. I just want to share. Is it visible? Am I audible, Dr. Srini? Yeah. Yeah. See, cataract surgery in a crowded anterior chamber, obviously we all encounter some mistakes or the other. Very difficult to find out what mistakes we are doing, but I'll try to make some what the common mistakes that we do. All of us know the causes for the crowded anterior chamber. That is short axial length, larger lens, very common nowadays because of the lockdown. The intermittent cataracts are a combination of both. But one thing that we normally miss out is of late, which we are seeing, especially fast surgeons, when they use very high fluid leaks, is the intraoperative fluid misdirection. Common in the hyperopes, but can be seen in most cases. This is due to the fluid that balanced fluid that escapes through the zonules and causing goes back into the vitreous and pushing the lens diaphragm. So be careful about that. Apart from all the things, also consider this. This is what one of the common mistakes that we do. Of late, we're seeing a lot. The risks averse biometric surprises I've had in the hyperopes. Be very careful, especially when you're dealing with hyperopes and multifocal lenses. I've had quite a few surprises and very unhappy patients. Luckily, it went to the minus, so no problem. Most of them suggest GA, but the topicals or subtenons are more than sufficient if the crowded anterior chamber is minimal. GA is very much preferable if there is extensive PAS and angle closure glaucoma. The role of IV mannitol, as of now, I think we are all not using that much as with the newer modalities of treatment we will be discussing. One good thing that we have and that I have been following off late is looking at our simple, humble A-scan report. Look at the lens thickness and the AC depth. The lens thickness, it gives us a wealth of information. Don't need to do any of the UBMs or OCTs. Anything more than 4.5 and the AC depth less than 1.8 or 2.2, you know you're dealing with a very bad crowded this one. In this case, this is showing 5.8, so you know you're going to end up in some sort of a arterial flax and anything. So you are mentally prepared as to how to go about it. So don't forget to see your simple, humble A-scan reports. It gives you a wealth of information and also about how to go about it. Operatively, the one thing that we normally do is obviously use to deepen the anterior chamber. But the risk of overfilling is always there, and most of the time we put in so much of visco that the iris starts prolapsing, so be careful about that. And the simplest thing that we forget about is try to ensure there is no positive pressure, especially in small eyes, where deep set eyes, where there is a tight speculum and drip field, and that solves most of the problem. and we forget about this and do everything else apart from this, and this is the last thing. So make sure that you do that. I, for one, we are all used to 60 stones, but in cases where there is a shallow anterior chamber, prefer using capsular forceps and the use of side port for exit rather than the main port. In spite of knowing this, I still do the same mistakes. I'm sure most fast surgeons do the same thing. One of the commonest mistakes. So this is one thing that I picked up, especially for the intermittent cataracts, understanding the concept of intralenticular pressure. Here, it's been clearly explained that the interlenticular is not just about the anterior, it's also the posterior intralenticular pressure. So what essentially happens is when we make an opening, the anterior lenticular fluid comes forward and the lens is moved up and blocks the equatorial. The posterior intralenticular remains, and then we just go ahead and do the surgery. And sometimes after doing a small rexis, you end up in a argentina. So keep in mind about the posterior lenticular pressure also, and how to go about that um, is just to do a small rexis and then do a bimanual aspiration, rotate the nucleus, free the equator, and essentially loosen the posterior lenticular space, and then go ahead, and it becomes very easy for you to do extension or a double axis. That is one of the commonest mistakes we do, not identifying the posterior lenticular space. So one other thing that we are doing here is using a small 26 gauge, 27 gauge needle to debulk the. This is essentially for the intermittent cataract. And as I said, we do this for the 5 point more than 5 or 4.8, 5.5 and lens thickness we identify in the biometry, and it becomes very easy for us to go ahead once you do remove some amount of fluid through the this. This is one thing that we have been doing quite often nowadays, especially when we find things at the start itself. This was a case, a regular routine normal case, when we went used blue and washed the blue in a closed environment. When you use force fast surgeons, what they do is they use the Dallas fluid goes and behind the vitreous and start pushing. You can see the iris coming out, and then I go ahead and make an opening here, thinking that it will easen out, but that will worsen the situation actually. So the iris is all through and it's very tense. And that is where then we have to actually take a decision what to do, because most of us try to go ahead and pull on, keep on putting visco and complicated the case. This is typically the fluid misdirection syndrome. All you need is to call your vitreoretinal colleague. Our colleague Dr. Mahesh just walked in, and then we went ahead and just 23 gauge 3-port. You place a 3-port and slightly press over here. The fluid comes out to a mild vitrectomy at the outlet, and immediately the AC deepens, and you can go ahead and do a perfect rexis, and everything will go on smoothly. So the sparse planar vitreous step, I think, is going to be a big saver for all of us, especially with the advent of 23 gauge sutureless. All you need is just a small opening and debulk the vitreous. And in most cases of crowded anterior chambers, that will say, including the very bad anterior chamber angle closure glaucomas, this will be a big help. To conclude, I think deepen the anterior chamber, avoid excess to deepen. One of the mistakes that we do is to avoid excess OVDs. High molecular viscoelastics, viscoat versus Helan. Somehow I forgot to mention about this. I feel Helan is better than viscoat, because using viscoat not only thicken doing the rexis slightly difficult somehow I feel, so I prefer Helan over viscoat. And ensuring and understanding the balance between the anterior chamber, the intralenticular pressure, both the anterior and the posterior intralenticular pressure, and the vitreous pressure. Where you know the vitreous pressure is very high, a simple vitreous fast planar vitreous tap should do the work well. Thank you, Sri.
Thank you, Umesh. A lot of practical tips there.